pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence in remembrance of those fallen on 9/11. Thank you. Item number 2, approval of the minutes from August 28th and August 30th special meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
First Selectmen's comments. The three of us were at the Night in White event last night, which was a tremendous success for the Historical Society. Bruce being on the board of the Historical Society, I think, I don't think you did top that last night. Great crowd, beautiful night.
It was perfect in every way, not the least of which was the work that the town did to make the property ready. Really deserve a great big thank you for coordinating that all at the last minute.
Wow. Yeah, Bill, we appreciate it. Bill brought in some landscapers to clean the place up.
Nice. Hope the ruts weren't too bad that we drove across the grass.
No, it was perfect.
It's fun.
Good.
Yeah, it was great.
It's fun. Okay, number 4, citizens' comments. Hearing none, we'll move on. Old business number 5, department update facilities. Bill McMinn is here.
I'm going to introduce Raquel Stubbs. She's a new member of our team. She's going to hand out a little, she just did a front and back little bullets. So you can,
Thank you.
as you know,
She's not so new. She's been here for a while.
well, she's the newest member of our team.
Right.
Been here for a year. August 22nd was her first, was her anniversary as a. So I just
one to the press too.
one to the press too. We just a brief overview. You know, there's myself and Raquel, and we have a half a maintenance guy and 2.5 custodians. We take care of approximately 144,000 square feet, 11 buildings. Some we do maintenance and custodial services, as you can see. Some we do just maintenance. You know, the ambulance garage, we just assist in maintenance. They take care of their own custodial and cleaning. The town garage basically does the same. We just do some maintenance there, although they assist in some of the maintenance. In the academy, we do minimal services there, really do minimal. We manage all the utilities for the town. You know, we pay the bills and manage the utilities. We do the capital planning for both the town and the school in our facilities department, which is pretty broad. And our budget's about, $1.3 million. So that's the big overview. What I didn't go over is that we're joined with the Board of Education. My primary job is, the Board of Education and taking care of the schools and the facilities for the schools. That's much more significant. Many years ago, we joined the facilities department with the schools. I think it's a good thing. And I think everyone in the past has realized that, really the schools are the primary facilities we own. The kids and the teachers are much more, there's more of them than there are town buildings. So, the primary focus, even Raquel, although she's a town employee, we both go to school in town. My office is Donna Darasek, who's 100% school, who also helps out with the town when needed, but she's primarily school. Mark Mastriano, who's our manager of operations for our maintenance department for the schools, he definitely puts a lot of time in on the town buildings as well. And Bob Burr, who's the chief custodian for the 30 custodians we have, he also manages the 2.5 custodians that we have. And when there's somebody out sick or vacation, we fill in with the school. So it's a big benefit for both the town and the school. I think the school has many more buildings, so of course has better equipment, better facilities, better structure because it has to. So we utilize that, the town uses that resource and gets a benefit for, the sort of management part. So I wanted to note that because it's not really written anywhere, it's just part of the process when we do that, which is I think really good and very efficient and effective. On the back of your piece of paper, I tried to outline
Just
some.
one question.
Sure.
Do you have any idea what the total building square footage is for the schools?
Around 650,000.
Okay, so it's 4 times.
Yeah, and I didn't put it down, I think the budget for that's like 5 million, I don't remember that, I just didn't look it up, I was going to.
That's for building maintenance for the schools, Tom? Is that what you're asking?
I'm sorry.
Yes, how
Building
many,
maintenance for the schools?
there's
No, it's just that
600,000.
relative square footage of the schools
Okay.
relative to the.
Yeah, it's about 650,000 square feet, I believe the schools are. The high school's 207, 208? 208, thank you.
Oh, you're off by a couple of square feet.
Yeah. And the Polson School's 157, so right there is 300 plus thousand, 300, right there. Then we have the other schools, of course, that add up. 107 is Brown School. So those three is a half, 500,000 right there. So, in round numbers. The town projects, I just listed them. And, I could definitely go into details on any of these projects if you wanted a little more. And I could definitely come back and give you a, detailed update on any of these. But the ones that I think are the most exciting that we're looking at that are sort of newer are the cooling tower's been on the list. The Arts Barn, HVAC's on the list. But we just started looking into geothermal and microgrids. And we were going to add something to the agenda later on, a new business to update you guys on what we're looking at for that. We can go over that later, but we sort of I want to put them all together. Memorial Town Hall, the Arts Barn, we're moving forward on the roof. Brown, even though Brown is on the list, our capital projects are sort of town projects. We've always managed them with town funds. And I've always been part of that, or the facilities department's been part of that. So we're looking at some upgrades on the electrical at the Brown that's funded in place for this year and next year. Fire alarms, we've been renovating the fire alarms in the facilities, the town facilities. The LED projects, I could go in extensively on those. That's pretty exciting stuff. We just finished the high school this summer, which was huge. And a big energy saver and just very positive, better lighting, I think, too. Then, some other projects we completed. I won't read them off. I think I highlighted the ones that I think that are the most interesting. In progress are the security. We're doing security upgrades here. Flag poles, we're doing some solar flag poles and some LED flag poles. We had solar projects that we completed, and specifically the senior center is one we're working on right now. I guess the bottom line too is that we work with the Energy Committee, which is Woody Wise. Woody, he's a very energetic, enthusiastic person about saving energy and energy projects, which I think is great. And he definitely inspires you to look at these things. And big picture, big capital projects, long-term positive investment, both energy and cost. So that's the overview. I don't know, did I miss anything, Raquel? So happy to discuss any of these if anybody like.
You want to just explain the flagpole so that the.
Sure.
Understand?
So Woody obtained, I think it was around 10,000, don't quote me for the dollar amount, but I think it was in that range, to install LED lights on our flagpoles. Two things, energy savings, long-term maintenance, the LEDs last for a long time, and the dark sky stuff, all the lights that we're putting up into the air, put them down. So I don't know if you've seen them. We take the ball off the top, and then they put the new ball with the LEDs that they face down onto the lights.
These are solar powered?
There's one so far that we did solar. That was at the Salt Meadow. We just put that one in. Some of the flagpoles don't have any power, some do. So the ones that have power, we converted them to power. And so it's a little difficult because you got to take the power and run it up the pole. So that's a successful project. We just started, we did the ones that had power, now we're just starting the LEDs. I think we're looking at the surf club, we wanted to maybe do one at the high school, right in front of the building. So those are our next ones.
Great, thank you.
Very cool.
You got it.
Billy, so you have in-progress projects at the bottom. Are the ones at the top of the page, are those also in theory
In progress.
in progress as well?
Yeah, we said 2016, 17, but some of those are definitely longer than that.
Give a sense of just, rough dates of each one of them when we think
So
they're
the
going to be
cooling
done.
tower, I tied with the energy study and the geothermal and the microgrid.
Yeah.
So hopefully we're going to add that, and I'll be talking about that a little bit later, so I'd like to put that one off. Memorial Town Hall, we're in the progress of just hiring the engineering. So this year I hope to hire an engineer to look at the scope and put it out. We don't have the dollars in the budget for the actual project yet, we just have.
Just the planning
engineering.
dollars, yeah.
The Arts Barn, I'm hoping that we can finalize the numbers in the next couple weeks and that actually finish that project before the winter. That's my goal on the Arts Barn. The electrical improvements, we won't do that project we won't do it next summer because we'll have the funding July 1st. So it would be a stretch for me to complete it next summer. I'm thinking it might be the summer after. So that would be 2019. The fire alarm upgrades has just been a continuous, I think we have 50,000 there. We've done this building. I think the next one we're looking at Memorial Town Hall, Youth and Family Services. And so it's one of those ones that's on the low. Things working, it's working fine. We have the funds in there. So I'd be a year maybe. The LED projects at the high school, inside and out, we just finished the inside ones this summer. I believe we, just last week, we finished some of the outside, but the long, tall poles, I'd say, this year, hopefully by the end of the year. So those are the projects, a little update.
Good, thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Bill.
You got it.
Moving along to new business. At this point, while Bill's here, I'd like to open the agenda to discuss the microgrid proposal.
For the town campus and the Green Hill campus.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So, once again, this is,
Do I have to, I open the agenda?
That was to open the agenda, now you have
I have
to.
to make a motion
Yeah, we always screw this
to
up.
discuss the microgrid projects potentially for town campus and Daniel Hanna.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Go ahead, Bill.
go ahead, okay, I wasn't sure. So, what I did is we got this Friday afternoon, once again, Woody looked into, in microgrids, Tom has asked us to look into this when he first came. How long have you been here now, 2 years?
Almost.
These are drafts, so they're not really public information because we're not gonna go approving these. This is something they sent me Friday afternoon. I hadn't totally reviewed it, but I wanted you guys to have something to look at.
Is this the updated one?
Yes.
Okay.
So, to back up, when Tom came here, he asked us to look at the microgrids. We did. I think we diligently looked into it, and I think economically, for the grants that are out there, don't pay for the actual power source. Woody's says that modified the grants now that you can get up to 50% of the power support source paid for. So,
Billy, it might be helpful for everybody if you review what a microgrid is.
sure,
I had no idea, to be honest with you.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Completely transparent.
So a microgrid is a specific power supply. We're going to take this campus, for example, and put it on its own power grid. So it's a micro, it's a little grid of power. You're really producing your own power, and you could stand alone. So the benefit for that is this is our emergency shelter. It's our emergency operation as the police station. So if power goes out, if the hurricane hits, we have our own little power supply here. We'll be standing alone. So that's, for for that reason alone, it's really worth us looking into it because we could be our own source. Now, we already have that. We have generators. We have actually 3 now on this site. We have one to run this complex. The police station has its own, and then they just did one for the tower. So we have 3. This would upgrade ours. Our existing generator is 1994. It's getting older. They live, their life capacity is 25 to 30 years max. I think theoretically, you should be planning it sooner than that. So we're looking at that anyways, looking at replacing the generator. So this brings it all together. It says, okay, if we're going to do the generator, why don't we look at the whole campus? Is there a better way to bring it all together? There's some grants out there for making it happen. Does it make sense? So we think that it does, but we need someone to help us. Is it economically make sense? Does the engineering stuff is very sophisticated and very specific, much more than myself. I couldn't handle it, and Woody, who's very smart, says it's over his comfort level. So we've talked to Select Energy. Woody's been in touch with them and talked to them. I believe I met with them on some other issues, just in general. And we wanted to bring it to your attention because we want to ask at the next meeting to finalize a proposal with them and waive the bid process. They're on the state approved vendor list. I don't know what the right term is, but we used to call it pre-bid qualified or approved by the state. We've done this before. We've taken vendors off the state list before and selected them. They've gone through a vetting process through the state. If we do want to apply by the end of this calendar year, which is a big stretch, we need to move fast.
So, have you gone to the utility and asked for their help in discovering these different microgrid options?
Woody and I have met with the utility company more than once.
And have they offered up that assistance?
But they don't do this kind of
No, but they'll work to, so part of the money that they get, how we get a little surcharge in our bill?
Yes.
Some of that money goes to helping entities, businesses, towns, figure this stuff out. I know this from firsthand experience. They can set up meetings with the different technology companies, like fuel cell energy, there's turbine, there's internal combustion, solar, and you can get good overviews of all the technologies, and they will function as a guide, really, for free. So
They become your consultant, is that kind of?
well, consultant might not be the advocate, might be a better word, and since they are, they're knowledgeable about electricity and heat, right? Because you're talking about heat as well with whatever you're doing. They'll help for free. It might get you through some of that discovery stuff without incurring a consulting fee.
I think we've already been down that road. We've already met with them. We've already discussed it with them. For us to go to the next step, to see if it's worth us applying and to apply, we need to do the next step. We've definitely met with those people. We've definitely met with utility companies, and we've been there. We think it's worth the next step.
So we have cost proposals for different alternative
No, we
generation?
don't. We do not.
So you
So
should be,
that's what we're working towards.
so you should be able to get all of that without hiring a consultant.
Okay.
And we can talk more offline about it, but I know from a 2.3 megawatt project that I was working on, we did all of that without consultants. We did that using the utility as and it was a combination of gas and electric. Of course, they're the same company now.
Not for us,
Oh, that's right, not for us, they're not, but they'll help guide us towards the right technology based on our needs.
Yeah, so we're not asking any formal approval. We're bringing it to your attention this week for hopefully, so by in 2 weeks, we'll have some kind of final answer and proposal for you guys to act on.
We
And we
can
could
talk about that in the
definitely,
meantime.
yeah, we could talk offline about that, and if there's another way to do it, we definitely will, do it the less expensive way, for sure.
Really, just to tease out of your comments, to make sure everybody grasps this, is this microgrid is not only designed for providing emergency backup, this is designed to provide day-to-day cost savings.
Yes, so I didn't speak on the high school site, might not be a perfect emergency area for a shelter, though we're going to investigate that part of our, we're gonna look into that. I'm gonna step back a little. I'm working in conjunction with Sam, our emergency manager, and we're looking into other sites for a shelter, plus the microgrids. So it's a little tied into a bunch of things. The high school, if it doesn't become an emergency shelter, we could look at it just for cost savings. We did look at fuel cells, and in this particular case, we think that we're going to be looking at some kind of generator, dual fuel generators, gas and
Internal combustion?
internal combustion gas.
So like a big Chevy 8-cylinder engine type of thing, as opposed to a gas turbine?
We're not looking at a gas turbine, not that we haven't. We have looked at gas turbines, but this is, I think where we're leaning towards is a generator, combustible generator from gas, natural gas, but with oil backup. This is some preliminary thoughts we were talking about and some ideas. So the answer is yes, we're looking at it not just for, to be on our own power supply, but we could save some energy because of our peak demand, specifically at the high school, is very expensive because we run air conditioning. Even though it's summertime, you still got to take care of the buildings, and we do have summer school. The air conditioning load's pretty high. And if we can shave that demand and we can shave that peak, we could save a lot of money. So it's multiple things we're looking into.
Great, thanks, Bill.
You got it? Thanks for your time.
Yeah. Moving on to number 6, discuss and take action to allow the ambulance department to expend funds not to exceed $45,000 to purchase cardiac monitors and accessories as approved in the capital improvement program.
So moved?
Second.
Any discussion? We have a quote from Physio Control for $42,515, that falls within their,
15 cents.
sorry?
And 15 cents.
$42,500.15.
Sorry about that.
Tom, maybe we should emphasize that these funds are budgeted.
Right.
We're just approving the expenditure.
Right. Chris, you want to say anything?
Sure. So the device, like I mentioned, we're getting a $4,000 trade-in for the unit we're replacing, which is 12 years old. And the American Heart Association recommended lifespan for these units are 5 years old. It's being purchased from a sole source vendor, Physio Control. They used to be on the state contract list, but I guess the state doesn't do that anymore with this particular type of vendor. And like I said, it's approved in our CIP program for, we have up to $45,000, and we're looking to spend the amount that you read up, unless there's any questions. It's a piece of machinery that we use, or piece of equipment that we use on every fall. Takes blood pressures, EKGs, pulse ox, and do lots of different things, so.
Fairly important.
Yes, pretty important, so.
Great.
Unless there's any questions, I can help you.
You want to say? Thanks, Chris.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 7, discuss and take action on to approve updates to the town of Madison personnel policies as of September 11, 2017. Everybody's gotten a copy of the personnel policy manual with changes highlighted.
Should we read the document into the record?
I think so.
Yeah,
I would always do that.
it's a
I think we should take turns, though.
Yeah.
So moved?
Second.
Any discussion? Deb, do you have anything you want to say?
No, thank you for the comments and the input that you gave when I sent this out to you. I think your suggestions were helpful, and for the most part, we incorporated all of those into the changes.
Tom, there's one late-breaking development. I'm not even sure it belongs in here, but we've tried some summer hours this year here at town campus. And of course, we're interested in evaluation of how that worked out for the town and for the public. Deb, is that considered a policy, or is that just a year-to-year management decision?
This was a trial run. We did get input back. I haven't had a chance to talk to the first selectman in terms of the input back from the employees, but it was positive. There's more of a campaign, I think, that needs to go on. And if that does happen and it becomes a permanent item for Madison, then we would move to modify the rules and policies to reflect that. So again, right now it's on a trial run.
And these changes are largely regulatory driven, right?
Yes, they are.
These are not us getting creative with policies
Benefits
as so much as
or- no.
us complying with the legislation that's on the books.
No, there's 2 areas of law that we need to comply with. One is the ADA compliance language that has not been in the plan prior. The other one is to address a new federal mandate that goes into effect on October 1st regarding light-duty pregnancy. And those are the 2 main incorporated new policies. What I did bring in are a couple of the larger, older policies that are forced into effect, trying to get us down to 1 document as we onboard new employees.
Deb, just for everybody's understanding, these were developed in conjunction with town council.
Yes, they were.
Any other discussion? We have a motion and a second to approve the updates.
I guess I have just a quick comment, and it's not related to the specific changes, but just to go on record, I guess, we went back and forth a little bit in email. And I'd just like to, make sure that we come back and look at that pay for performance section of the policy, just so that we're
That's
maybe
number-
cleaning up.
that's number 8.
Okay.
We put it, there
You
is
did.
an open discussion
Oh, perfect.
item after that.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. I didn't look that, as I usually do.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 8. Here you go, Scott. Discuss current personnel policies.
I guess as I looked at the 2.42 pay for performance, I was slightly concerned that the language was just a little vague, and I think we went back and forth, and I think there was some agreement there that it might be something that we would consider looking at. Potentially to drive accountability, potentially look at performance objectives, potentially look at other alternatives, but I know Deb had some really creative ideas that I was very keen to hear relative to maybe grabbing a working committee to peek at that section, just the sort of accountability in general, as I think it's something that we all probably can do a better job of, not only in town government but any business, of just ensuring that we're truly paying performance and paying based on objectives that are achievable and that are set, in working with the first selectman's office and working with management, et cetera. So I'd like to see us look at that section closer.
Great. Number 9, discuss take action to approve naming the Director of Human Resources to act as the ADA coordinator for the town of Madison.
Moved. Second?
Any discussion?
Yeah, let's ask Deb to explain what it means.
Thank God you're here.
Again, as we talked about incorporating the Americans with Disabilities policies into our personnel policy, the town also has to have a 504 plan, which is more global. It addresses the needs of all facilities as it comes to accessibility. It ensures that we have the proper grievance procedures in place. It ensures that we take steps that are necessary to be able to provide alternative means for an individual with disabilities to view this meeting, to be able to access large print on the minutes. So as part of the 504 plan, which again is another federal plan and a federal mandate, you have to name an ADA coordinator. And that's, again, part of what you're doing now. We do have the changes that are going to be going on the website. We purchased and installed a TTY machine. So we are moving forward, and I'm working with the 2 major department heads who are currently reviewing every piece of property that they own for accessibility. And, you know, that will come to the final 504 plan, and then it's not anything for the Board of Selectmen to adopt, but it's certainly a document I'm going to bring to you.
Do you want to just explain how this came about? How we got to this point where,
The town last year was applying for a HUD, I believe it was a HUD grant. Anytime you apply for federal money, there are certain requirements that you have to have in place for your municipality, and one of them was the 504 plan. Madison didn't have that, so unfortunately, we could not apply for that HUD grant. So we're correcting that. It'll be corrected moving forward, and certainly then it's not going to limit opportunities that we may have for federal funding in the future.
so the HUD grant was for Concord Meadows, for the upgrades that they were going to do there. So that project is stalled, but we're going to reapply this year, and hopefully that'll come together.
Now, this position will cut across Board of Education facilities as well.
The Board of Ed, again, is its own separate entity. This is designed strictly for the town plan and the town facilities.
But clearly, it has to be coordinated, though, I would think, with what the Board of Education is doing. Since they own most of the square footage in the town buildings.
I do have, Bill actually did a facilities plan that was given to me for all town properties, including the Board of Education. Because the Board of Education is dealing with children, their facilities are much more updated when it comes to ADA compliance than the town facilities are. So that's something that is continuously on their radar. It's a conversation I have to have with Bill, but I would be very surprised if any of the facilities were out of compliance.
Is there an ADA coordinator in the school systems? Somebody's been noted as such?
I have no idea.
Is it
Might be worth,
isn't it?
yeah, that might be worth knowing.
They do way more than that. They have individual things for students. You know, they definitely comply with ADA, and more so. They have individual, I forget what the right term is, for students that need things. The same with staff.
Yeah.
We will do whatever it takes to get somebody in through the school. And, you know, we're not perfect, and there might be something that we all miss, but I believe that we're comply way more than ADA.
Yeah, I would suspect that they probably have somebody on point to be the coordinator.
I'm sure they do. I just don't know that because it's more students, I think, than staff,
Yeah.
special needs. So, and I know that I assume I shouldn't say that. I believe they do. I just don't know their terms and their titles.
To build on Bob's point, we have somebody in the district concerned with this and somebody on the town side concerned with this. I think we should set up some sort of a formal, at least communications tie between the two so that we don't have two individuals reinventing the same wheel and coordinating. You're going to be solving for the same problems. We want to provide for a formal communications link between them, not necessarily the reporting structure, but
No, I can certainly reach out to Heather Dobson. Again, I'm sure that they have an individual over there. It's probably somebody as part of the special needs department. For us, this is strictly a town municipality mandate that we're looking at. None of the 504 plans that I've seen, nor have, and again, we're working with outside labor council on this, address the Board of Education. This is, again, strictly town facilities. Rockland Preserve, the Surf Club. Again, our buildings in here, whether or not we have the means to, and in fact, this is a perfect example because we just upgraded the sound system in here to allow for enhanced hearing. That's the type of thing we need to look at. But I'll definitely reach out to the board about it.
Yeah, and I think it's a special ed director, because I've met with her and worked with her on the classroom upgrades and improvements that we need to do. Actually, I just remember I met with her a month ago about some access to a school that we wanted to enhance. you know, they all comply with ADA, but we'll go beyond that if we need to improve the hearing, which we haven't had in a while, but we have. I recall now that we've improved some, you know, sound systems in classrooms. And yeah, and we definitely, this summer, we talked about improving an access to one of the schools, you know, way above what we need. But it doesn't matter. I don't think the ADA, you know, the minimum ADA is what we go for. We go for the, what makes sense for the students and the staff of the schools.
I'm sure. I think, you know, my point was simply that in the spirit of us collaborating across between the town and the district,
Yep.
Where we have people concerned with similar things, even if the overlap isn't huge,
Yep.
we want to make sure that we're communicating back and forth.
Well, and not to mention too, if they've, you know, already gone down the path a certain amount with best practices or learnings, we want to leverage that, so.
Yeah, and I'm sure that whoever's concerned about it, I don't really, I talk to the administration, someone talks to them, and then they come talk to me. So maybe it's the same, you're talking to the public, I'm not talking to the public per se. We'll coordinate it, for sure.
Deb, as we get ready to name you ADA coordinator, what are the rights, duties, privileges, and authorities that we are granting you?
Really, this is an administrative role. There is a grievance procedure that is supposed to be in place for individuals who live in our community and even those who live outside, that if they feel that a facility is not suitable to their needs, they need to be able to take it somewhere. They will be taking it to the ADA coordinator. So there now will be a procedure in place where, you know, I'll discuss it with Bill or with Scott or John, depending upon, it could be a curb cut in a roadway. If we come to a resolution, great. If not, then their complaint goes to the first selectman. If there's no resolution there, then the complaint comes to the Board of Selectmen. So it's, again, more of that global administrator to, again, make sure that trainings are in place, that the websites are up to date, that all of our policies are up to date for this, that we continuously monitor our facilities to ensure that not all facilities have to be ADA compliant, but you do need to have one facility that can be utilized by any member of the public for any need. And, you know, I'll use an example with one of our older buildings is more difficult in terms of trying to become handicap accessible. It would be an extensive renovation. If a person in a wheelchair cannot get to that facility, we have the ability to take the individuals from that facility and have a conference here. So again, it's that sort of coordination that goes on.
Deb, what happens in a situation in which there is a difference of opinion about whether or not something or some place is accessible? What role does the coordinator play?
Again, I act as the facilitator, working with the department head. If I feel that the department head is wrong for any reason, I would bring that up through a normal chain of command, which would mean to the first selectman first, and hopefully it would be rectified there.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a motion and a second.
I guess one other question, sorry, just to build on what Al was saying. You know, typically, I just recall, you know, the bathroom situation at J.C. Fields, and we had some conversations with folks about ADA compliance. And typically, there would be costs associated with any ADA upgrade, you know, whether it's cutting a curb or, you know, putting railings in a bathroom, et cetera. So how does that work in terms of budget? Do we have would we ultimately have an ADA budget that we could tap into if, in fact, you know, you have to determine, you know, working with the facilities group that something needs to happen? Where does that reside, and does it reside, I guess?
I don't envision it residing in one specific location, but perhaps to have the three major departments have funding that may be used. And they may already, as part of their planned capital. You know, again, cutting out a curb is not anything that is going to be a cost.
Sure.
And nor are we forced to take on a major cost if it's not considered a reasonable accommodation. So yes, it could cost a little bit more money. I think it's appropriate to have the departments, again, this is kind of the first blush for them. This is new. So they should have that in mind as they're preparing their budgets for the next fiscal year.
It's great guidance too, it's just making sure that people are planning ahead, so. I'm good.
Good. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, Deb.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Number 10, update on the Strong Center field houses.
I'm Duo Dickinson, and I'm the architect and a board member on the Strong Center board. And about 2 years ago, we received a steep grant that, for a total of $500,000, that enabled us to bid out building the stick framing and mechanical work and concrete subfloor and the finishes of the two buildings. 2 rounds of bidding were unsuccessful. Nobody really gave us a bid. And then the last round of bidding was extremely successful. And we had essentially 2 bidders that were under the $500,000. Picked the lowest bidder, of course. Munger Construction is fantastic. And what they've done is initiated construction about 3 months ago. The total number we have to keep under at 499, 999.99. And we've been, as architects, we've been negotiating back and forth between what the Strong Board can donate and what they will provide so that we can get the best possible buildings for the money that we have available. And it's appropriate to meet now only because since the initiation of construction, the football team is undefeated. That's the first reason. But
Is there a direct relationship?
I think so.
Funding is flowing in.
That's more my personal story. But anyway, the bottom line is that I can pretty much warrant that with minor backs and forths of small items, we got a bunch more electrical fixtures donated. We got a little bit, we were able to work out the donation by us of the water fountains, these kind of small items. We're going to be coming in with the buildings almost fully fleshed out, with maybe one or two minor exceptions that could be added later. They've green-lighted the terrace people, the actual plaza people, to start sometime around early November. So that means the buildings will probably be more or less done in early November, not maybe for use, but at least for the ability to create the subsurface for the plaza. So the board has been diligently working, and I've also been working to make sure all the stone memoria has been ordered, and the phase 1 of the plaza has been signed up, and we've gone through at least, I don't know, Billy, I don't know if you're part of this, but 2 or 3 requisitions for payments and ad forms and stuff like that. So we've probably had 30 or 40 micromanagements of the buildings, but they're pretty much on schedule. And I'd like to tell the audience that the coolest thing ever is going to be in about a week or so when a crane will come and lift the 2 cupolas that are all now mostly built up and drop them on top of the 2 field houses, which I'm hoping we get media, because it's going to be enormously fun to see that happening. So we're totally on budget. We're basically on schedule. The builder's really good. And the town was instrumental in getting the steep grant, and we are very close to having the money we need to finish the project. We'd love to have more money, so if anybody out there wants to have their name on something, please give us a lot of money, and we'll be there. But we're very, very close. So, any questions or anything?
So you're going to be coming to us with a gift.
Big time.
To be approved.
There'll be a big time gift of the plaza. In fact, probably you and I should talk about when that's appropriate, because we've already signed the contract with the guy to do the
Probably
plaza.
for our next meeting.
Okay, so maybe I'll make sure Larry can come and we'll do that, because I think we're very, very close to being able to donate the entire plaza. We got 2 very nice gifts last month, but we still need a little bit to do the phase 2 of the plaza. I know we'll be able to donate phase 1 of the plaza.
Okay, so we meet in 2 weeks at night.
Okay, so we'll try to remember, maybe your
I'll
secretary,
take
Dr. Karen.
Great. Thanks, Bill.
Any questions, Nathan?
Who's on point from the town standpoint to own the project with
I was
you?
going to go to Rob next.
Got it.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, and it's basically the engineering offices, and they've been extremely helpful, it's been very good, there's a lot of overlap of responsibilities, and it's worked really well.
Great.
Duo, if there's a member of the public out there that's thinking about making a gift, what is the size of the gift that you might be looking for?
I think
$50,000.
50 or 60 million dollars would be good. But literally, if we can get 30 or 50 million dollars, we can do every single thing, including $50,000. Wishful thinking. We can do every single thing we want to do. Right now, we probably can't do phase 2, which is some of the appurtenances around the plaza and 1 or 2 features in the buildings, but we're right there. I mean, we just need that extra like $50,000 and we're there.
Okay, so I wanted to ask Rob Russo, who's in our engineering department and has been coordinating for the town with the project, to just give us an update from your perspective.
Sure. To reiterate what Duo was saying, when I go out on site multiple times a week to meet with different contractors, you'll see residents of the town walking around the surf club, and they have a good vibe about the buildings. There's real positive outlook. As Duo said, Munger's been doing a great job. Every time I go down there, it was like one day the trusses were there, weren't there, and then all of a sudden they're up. They were putting them up at a great pace. But as far as the Department of Public Works and Engineering's responsibility, or what we've been a part of mainly through the course of the summer, mostly August, was the utilities to the building. The electric, we've met with multiple contractors throughout the past couple of weeks to sort of value engineer the price and sort of find the best available rate that we can do, and we're waiting on one more quote, which should be coming in on Monday and Tuesday. Let's see, the Comcast, we've spoke with Comcast, met them on site, and they've agreed to complete the work for free from the what is it, not the bleachers, I'm sorry.
Utility bill?
The press box. From the press box to the first building, they'll tap there for free. So it's just a matter of internally discussing what services we like in there, whether it be the internet or cable or both. And the last one is the water. Let's see. Thursday, Johnny Anako and I will be meeting with the water company out there to discuss construction of water main, but that should be happening also in the next month. And the last item is the septic system, and it's tentatively set for, I think, September 18th with Vinnie Anderson. So
Which, just by the way,
Sure.
is all of his services are totally donated, and we're on the hook to get money to pay for the septic structures. But Vinny has got his name on the home field house because he's donated all the site work, almost all the site work. So there's at least $400,000 of in-kind services donated in this, as well as well over $1 million in private citizenship money. So this is really one of the great feel-good stories for the town.
So yeah, those are the 4 basic utilities. They're pretty much on track. I'm guessing within the next couple of weeks they should all come together, between the electric, getting that final price, the water main, meeting with them on Thursday. Hopefully we can get that going. The Department of Public Works should be doing the construction on that. Comcast, it's just a matter of internally determining what services we would like in there. I know multiple conversations have gone back and forth. Is it just internet? Do we want the cable too? But at this point, I know that Comcast is on board. Actually, they've been calling me to get this going. So between the Comcast, electric, water, and then as Duo said, with Vinnie Anderson being generous and donating his services, we should tentatively set for September 18th. So that's really Public Works and Engineering's involvement, is mostly with the utilities and sort of assisting Duo and one of his architects, Nicole, in the process. So hopefully, I'm guessing within September, we could at least really make a solid push of getting utilities to a point where they're either, if they're not installed, they're in the process of being installed. So, yeah, I think that's great. Thanks, Rob. Sure.
Rob, 2 questions real quick.
Sure.
So any risks or concerns that you see with sort of the engineering and all the sort of the processes that you just laid out? Are there things that you're sort of concerned or worried about relative to the build?
The only concern I have is because the electric and water main are taking a similar route, I think it's important to that those are coordinated in a definitely concurrent fashion. So when John and I, we're going to go out this week when we meet with the water company, to make sure we're going to mark out the alignment of the water main and also mark out the alignment of the electric at the same time. So when we do select an electrician, we could show them, all right, this is where the duct bank for the electric service is going to go, and we also met with the water company, and this is where the water main is going to go. So they're okay with the separation distances. We know where they're coming into the buildings. So we just want to make sure that, you know, when that's dug, we're on the same page, that there's no conflicts with the utility crossings or the general alignment. So but I think we're pretty much on top of that. I think after Thursday's meeting, we'll have a pretty good idea of where they're going to go and more along the timeline of when it's going to be done.
And the second question is just around budget. Any concerns about budget overruns or?
Well, yeah, so the water main is being constructed by the town of Madison, and it's going to be installed by the water company. So there'll be no cost there except just to the town, just for our labor. Comcast, like I said, is being covered by Comcast. It's just a matter of throwing one conduit in the ground in between the two buildings, which is a nominal cost. So Comcast is completely covered. As do I, again, stated, Vinnie Anderson is donating the labor and materials for this project. So, well, the labor, I know, I'm not completely sure on the materials.
We're donating the materials.
And the materials. So, so the only real cost I see that could be incurred is the electric, which is why we haven't just gone ahead and selected any electrical contractor and gotten this work done for the sake of expediting it, because we're really trying to find the best price for the electrical work. So it's sort of been a little bit of a painstaking process the past month, meeting with different people out there and constantly going through the work that needs to be done. But on the same note, we didn't want to rush it and just hire anybody and know we could have gotten it for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 less. So hopefully, I'm assuming with this next quote that comes in between today, tomorrow, Wednesday, I feel confident this one will be the low and we can move forward with the electrical work. So I just felt like John Iannacco, Director of Public Works, and myself, after speaking with the electrical, we just didn't want to rush into it and just sort of find the right contractor. So.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it. Great stuff.
Do you have a date in mind?
It was about 4 years ago. No, basically, we have an informal goal. Larry and I have a great informal goal to be able to flush a toilet at the last game on the site. I give that a less than 50% chance, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we couldn't do tours of the building on the last game or something like that. A lot of it has to do with the utilities. I think the buildings themselves will be done in 6 weeks. I'm making that up, but something like that. But the functionality of the plumbing, which is all, by the way, the status right now is there's tons of roughing going on. Almost all the electrical is roughed. Almost all the plumbing is roughed. And there's a lot of stuff on site. The windows are going in. So, I mean, you can see that it's a wonderfully well-organized, pushing project, and we've been right there doing the detailing. So my hope would be that by next year's opening game, totally done.
Thank you. So to use your analogy of flushing the toilet, though, so are the buildings safe? Like, would the teams be able to use the facilities during games prior to the flushing of the toilet?
That's a very good question. There's potentially.
CO?
Yeah, I wasn't sure where to see
It would not be a CO, it would be a TCO. We'd have to pass muster with everybody. But my guess would be it's possible that they could have a TCO for team use. It's possible.
Okay.
I mean, the good news is we've gotten through the main construction, weather's been benign, so the only thing holding it up is just the nature of the fact that the timing's very tight.
Thanks, everybody. Number 11, update on the Academy School site.
Great update, by the way. That was a
you.
great update. Thank you. That was really helpful.
I thought Dave was going to be here, but maybe I was mistaken. Really,
He
the
was.
only
He was in here, maybe.
update, the RFQ went out last week on Thursday, and we have a timetable for moving the project along. So There was an article in the paper, a good article, that kind of summarized everything last week. Number 12, tax abatements and refunds.
Lawrence.
Tom,
Lawrence has.
we need to open the agenda for an item for the town vehicles.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Stacy's
Okay.
here.
You got to do your roll.
Okay.
Move that we open the agenda?
Second?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
I apologize, we got that information
Okay,
at
I
the
just
end.
want to make, we need to make a motion for what?
To,
Do you want me to read it?
yes, we have two, though they also have to approve expenditure of the funds, so either way.
Okay. So we have discuss and take action to approve the lease agreement between the town of Madison and Ford Leasing for the purchase of two town vehicles as approved in the CIP. Four town vehicles as approved in the CIP.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Five.
Five town vehicles?
Well, I was in it 4, I'm not in it 5.
I'll add the fifth one.
Okay, so we have a
Okay.
motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
So this is all part of the CIP program that was approved. It was approved. We've been going back and forth on leasing rates, trying to get that goes straight. Kristen's been working very hard, so I apologize for the late notice. But this is basically part of our plan. It's to purchase 2 town vehicles as well as 2 dump trucks and a senior bus van. The way that we worked out the lease is we're getting the 2 vehicles ahead of time. That's what's happening first, but we made an arrangement with Ford Credit to lock in the rate and then roll this lease into the final lease when we get the other 3 vehicles, because we don't, every time we lease something, we don't want all these different lease agreements out there. So they worked with Kristen hard to make sure that we can do that. So currently what we're doing is we're buying the 2. The money will be available for us under this arrangement to get the other 2 trucks as well as a van, which will probably happen in the spring. And at that point, we'll make the payment for those 3 other vehicles, and then moving forward, we will have 1 payment for all 5. And all of this falls within the plan under the CIP.
And this is a capital lease.
Correct. We
Let's
will
say.
own them, all the vehicles at the end of the lease. It's actually on this, it says we get it for $1.
Stacy, what happens to the old vehicles that are being replaced?
We're actually trading 2 of them in. For one of the Jeeps, we got a $1,500 trade-in value, and for the old Expedition that's been sitting at the garage for a very long time, we got $1,200 and $1,500.
Nice.
The passenger van is not the van for Austin, is it?
Yes,
Okay.
It is.
So what part of that's covered by a grant?
this is in addition to the one he's getting from a
Okay,
grant.
so we're getting a second.
Correct, and that's all part of the plan, it's nothing
Great.
new.
Yeah, then when does that happen?
It's in the process right now.
Oh, it is?
Mhm.
Great.
Will they get the 2 vans at the same time?
I don't think so, it takes a while.
Those are
Yeah.
custom made, right?
Yeah.
I think we're getting one at the end of this year, and then the other one in the spring.
He's working on the
Yeah,
first one, so
right.
it does take a while.
Even when you get a date, they change it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, number
Is that it, or
12,
we have
tax
more? I
abatements and
think we're
refunds.
not done.
One more.
I'm sorry.
We have to open up the agenda to expend the funds out of the highway equipment fund
For this?
for this.
Okay.
Well, the agenda's open, right? So we don't need to open it again.
Don't you have to open it for a different topic? Or, no, for the same topic?
It's.
I think it's the same topic.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion to,
Approve the expenditure for these funds out of the highway equipment
So
capital
moved.
project fund.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We have to open it again? I'll try this one more time. Number 12, tax abatements and refunds.
Move we approve total refunds and abatements of $943.94.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Citizens' comments? Hearing none. Liaison reports, selectmen comments.
I have some.
Well, I have no report, but I have a concern. As you drive downtown, the plantings in the median are now so large you can't see people when you're standing in the center of the divider. You know, the areas of refuge, you can't see people standing there. And I think we've either got to take and trim those back or change the plantings. They're much too large for safety.
Yeah, I had a similar concern that you can't see children walking across the street too, so I know the chief, we went back and forth on that, the chief was looking at it, right? Or somebody's
No,
looking at
actually, he's not, but we have the contractor who's maintaining the median this summer is going to look at removing the ones that are the most egregious because they are growing, they may not be the right plants that were planted. Supposedly, when we contracted for this, nothing was going to grow over 30-something inches. And they've not only grown higher, but they've grown further out.
Yeah.
So some of the grasses, the height doesn't really matter that much, but the bulk of them, that's what we're going to have to take a look at.
But I think it's potential danger.
Yeah. I mean, we're in the process of doing that this week. And what we're going to try to do is find a home in town for the grasses that they pull out.
Good.
Can I read the youth and family one? So I have an update from the Summer Youth Employment Program from Scott Cochran and Madison Youth and Family. So Madison Youth and Family Services was pleased to offer its second annual youth employment service. The Summer Youth Employment Program was created to help Madison teens overcome barriers to employment. It has evolved into a collaborative effort between our agency, local businesses, and Madison Public Schools. Between July and August 2017, 6 Madison teens each secured 4 weeks of employment at 10 hours per week. Positions were created at establishments such as Madison Public Library, Madison Senior Center, Eclectic Cafe, What's Cooking, RJ Julia's. Teens were paid the Connecticut minimum wage through funding graciously provided by Neighbor to Neighbor when the state grant for this program was cut. In an effort to maximize success in their placements, students were provided with an interest inventory, skills assessment, job coaching, and worksite accommodations. Teens and their employers received individualized plans geared to enhance student performance, increase vocational skill sets, and gain valuable feedback on areas to continue developing for future employment success. Employers, students, and their parents reported being grateful for this opportunity and expressed having such a positive experience that they wish to participate once again next year. The one hope for next year was reiterated across the board was the ability to work for more than 4 weeks with a slightly longer learning curve for participants. As soon as they become comfortable and more confident in their workplace, it was time for them to end. So that was from Madison Youth and Family Services.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Tom, I thought we had just ought to remind the public that there's a referendum coming up on September 26th regarding facilities for the Board of Education, and the public, it's time for the public to get informed about it. There was an excellent article on The Source last week which provided a lot of information, and the public, I think, can also go to the website for the Board of Ed and learn other aspects of the project.
Okay. Thanks, Tom.
Nothing.
Oh, I had one other, sorry. Who's up first? At our last meeting, I don't know if it was August 28th, Tom, in your first selectman remarks, you mentioned talk about a procurement manager, or the idea proposed. So I guess I was just wondering, maybe at our next meeting we could put that on the agenda just to discuss it formally. I think that was kind of in your remarks, kind of the proposed course of action. So
Yeah.
it might be worthy of an agenda topic.
Sure. Sounds good. Hearing no more, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everybody.
Lots of goodies here.